This is Arvin. He loves his low-slung saloon cars and he's every right to do so. But the thing is, he spends most of his time in the Klang Valley, going back to work and forth and sending his kids everywhere. So does he actually need that big hunk of metal? I think this is probably the car that he needs instead of wants. If you don't know this car by now, you must have been living under a rock, because everyone in Malaysia does. Introducing the Perodua Ativa. It's been more than 10 years since Perodua introduced an SUV into the Malaysian market. So this car was created in conjunction with Daihatsu and Toyota, and it has a perfect balance of cute and aggressive. Wow, look how angry it looks. I mean, it's probably one of the angriest Perodua out there. I mean, and it has a lot of things to match that aggressive look. The headlights are all LED, the fog lights are all LED, and the sequential turn signal is just the bomb. While the front is aggressive, I think its cuteness starts here at the side. So what can we see from the side? So it's got typical SUV type cladding, beefy side skirts, a very premium feeling looking side repeater here, 17-inch wheels, and a shark fin antenna really gives a nice side profile to the car. The side profile is pretty much perfect, but what the heck is this? It's actually a sticker. I mean, you could have just kept it a body color. So while the front looks aggressive, the side looks cute, we think the rear looks sophisticated. I mean, the rear tail lights, it's got this LED strip up here, but unfortunately the indicators are halogen. What else do you get at the rear? You get this Ativa badge, this AV badge, this being the AV variant, and the Timmy badge. Timmy! No, I'm just kidding. It's turbo. Timmy! So another reason why this car is perfect for Arvin is because one time I found him carrying a gearbox in his boot. Huh? How's that gearbox space?
Nice and spacious.
With 369 liters, it's good for anything, including a gearbox. And one of the best bits about the boot, it comes with a foldable tonneau cover. Here we go. But before I put it, let me show you how easy it is to fold it.
6.5 hours later. Day 2. Day 4.
Did you know the Ativa's boot has 3 settings? So you've got this setting for groceries. You've got this setting in case he wants to carry his gearbox. And he's got this setting if he wants to carry his bicycles. Ready? Alright, there's no sunglasses holder, but you do get everything else in this car. This dashboard design is just really nice. Everything is angular, modern and stylistic. The seats are nice. It's got a dual type surface, you know, it's got this microfiber type material here which feels like suede. The seating position is high up and good, so you can have a good look around. But there's no telescopic steering wheel, but it's good enough, you know, you'll get a comfortable position. Also, there are these diamond trim type touches here, which really adds a really nice premium touch to the car. But one thing though, the cubby hole is quite small. You could probably just fit wallet, wires and smart tags, and that's about it. But the pièce de résistance is the cup holders at the aircon vents. Now you can always keep your drinks cool. By the way, this is an important piece of information. How many bottles can you fit in Ativa? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So double that, 10 bottles. two things that we're gonna miss that is not in this car is the famous Perodua anti-snatch hook, which we like to call tapa hook, and the smart card reader. They've spoiled us with the Myvi. Why can't they just spoil us here too? Come on, Perodua. Things that differentiate this Perodua from the other Perodua cars are its smart digital infotainment screen and meter cluster. So the infotainment screen is a 9-inch screen. It unfortunately doesn't have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but it does have Perodua's Smart Link, so you just plug in the cable and off you go. It's touchscreen, so you can navigate pretty easily. Moving on from the infotainment screen, you now also have a 7-inch TFT digital meter cluster, which is customizable. So you got 5 different options, so you can customize it to whatever you like. Also, one of the best features of this digital meter cluster is you can set up reminders. So let's say you want to set up a reminder for your wife's birthday or your anniversary or your kid's birthday, you can pretty much set it up. Also, you can also set up a maintenance reminder. Being 5'5", I'm never gonna have a problem with space in the rear of any car really. But one good feature of the Ativa is that you can recline it, if you can call it reclining. But you know, at least there is an option, right? But you know what? I'm short, so what does it matter? I'm always gonna fit in. Let's get a 6-foot Arvin to test this out and see how he feels. Perfect. So from that test we can tell a 6-foot Arvin will be happy back here. He'll be even happier when he finds out there are a couple of USB ports here. He can charge his iPad, his phone, and you know what? The kids will appreciate that too. So since this is Perodua's safest car to date, there's a lot of safety feature jargon that we need to debunk. So actually there's a misconception that only the top spec AV variant get ASA 3.0. Actually, all 3 variants get ASA 3.0. So what makes the AV variant different from the rest is level 2 autonomous driving systems. So these systems add on to the ASA 3.0 that all the variants get, and they have extra features such as lane keep control, adaptive cruise control, blind spot monitoring system, and rear cross traffic alert. So these features add on to the ASA 3.0 to give you level 2 autonomy, which makes it one of the safest cars on the road, which is you usually find these safety features in cars above 200,000. So you're getting this in a car that's around 70 grand. So now that we have the safety features out of the way, let's find out how the Ativa drives. Okay, so the Ativa practically has the Axia's engine, but a turbocharged version. Okay, it is coupled with a DCVT, which gives you a better fuel economy and refinement at higher speeds. So it has 94 PS and 140 Newton meters of torque. And for those who know their Peroduas very well, you will know that it's not actually that much more powerful than a Myvi. The difference between it and a Myvi is when the torque comes in. So okay, 80% of the torque is available at 2000 RPM. So that's like 2000 RPM lower than the Myvi. So what this means is it gives you more accessible power quicker, so that when you're driving around town or off the traffic lights, you can pretty much race on. Okay, don't race, but you know what I'm trying to say. Okay, so what is it like to drive around the corners? Well, the steering is nicely weighted. It does corner very well, especially on a long banking corner. But sometimes at high speeds, the car does feel a bit floaty. But you're not going to be driving this car fast. This is supposed to be a Klang Valley city car, you know? So the raised ride height does give it good suspension. And you know, you'll be pretty much comfortable everywhere you go around town. Well, you know, all these MRT buildings right now, you know, they create all these potholes in the road. You're not going to feel it that much. But what about the NVH, you might ask? You know, Perodua is, you know, they're not bad, but they're not good. But compared to the Myvi, this is better than the Myvi. For those who have never driven a car with a 3-cylinder engine, you might be alarmed by the noise that it makes, okay? But actually, after a few drives, you get used to it. It does moan a little bit, but you know, it's fine. There's nothing to really complain about. Hey, do you remember the old Peroduas, you know, where you had to switch off the aircon to get a bit of more power? Well, you don't need to do that anymore, because the Ativa comes with power mode. Switch that on and off you go! Woohoo! So what the power mode does is it gives a bit more power through better reaction times to the pedal, and it does keep the revs up. Okay, actually there's nothing to dislike about the Ativa. Everything is just spot on. They've really thought about everything very well. I mean, everything is just well suited to a city drive, and you know, it's just for 70 grand you can't really go wrong with this car. But there is one thing that you might pick up on that you might not like, and that is slight vibration at idling. Okay, this is caused because it's a 3-cylinder engine. Obviously it's not balanced because it's not even numbers. It might irritate you, but you know, just like the moan from the 3-cylinder engine, you do get used to it after a while. How are the brakes, you might ask? Well, it's got discs at the front and drum brakes at the rear. So how does it stop? Well, let's find out. Okay, we're currently doing 50 and brake. There you go, more than enough. So this being an SUV, we gotta do some SUV stuff. Okay, you're not really gonna take it off-road, but what's wrong with a little bit of adventure, right? After all, it's an SUV, and SUVs book you to go and have an adventure. So let's check out this road and give it a shot. So yeah, we did manage to take the Ativa slightly off-road. Okay, it's got 200mm ground clearance, 20% approach angle, 32% departure angle. Yes, it can do it, but when we saw that the road got a bit tougher, we kind of just stopped. But doesn't mean you can't have an adventure. A lot of places with rough roads lead to very nice places like a waterfall. So yes, you can technically take this car off-road, but just make sure it's not too tough, eh? So Perodua claims that the Ativa can do 5.3 liters per 100 kilometers. What we've got is an average of around 10 liters per 100 kilometer. Now, okay, it might sound like it's double, but we haven't actually been driving it like an angel. I mean, we've really enjoyed the torque in the car, and we've pretty much launched it at every chance we got. So I mean, yeah, if you drive it conservatively, you know, better than we did, you can probably get something closer to what they claim. But I think the 5.3 is just really too far apart. So just like I said before, the big barge of a saloon car is probably the car that he wants, but actually the Ativa is probably the car that he needs. If you are like Arvin and you spend most of your time going to work and back, sending your kids, doing the grocery run, you just really want to be in this car and not in a big bargy saloon type thing that's going to be bulky, hard to park. The suspension is good, there's accessible power,